This is Chris from Itonics, and today I'll be showing you how to do technology or trend scouting, monitoring, and actual opportunity identification using Itonics Foresight. Let's get straight into it. Now, in order to stay ahead of the competition, and in order to kind of stay relevant on the market, it is of utmost essence that every organization can keep track of existing trends and technologies, as well as, of course, discover new trends and technologies that will add value to the overall portfolio of that company. Itonics allows you to do just that. Now, let's suppose you and your team are already keeping track of certain technologies, certain elements of relevance to your organization, and the Itonics radar is a great place to visualize the current status of those technologies and how they stand towards one another in the grand scheme of things. Now, the radar is, of course, the outcome of all of the work that you're doing. So what we're seeing right now is an overview of all the technologies that we're tracking in accordance to the segmentation, so the areas of interest to us, as well as, of course, the potential impact that they might have on us as an organization, meaning that those technologies that are of highest relevance to us and that have the highest potential impact in this particular visualization will, of course, be placed closer to the center. Now, in order to actually, of course, get to such a picture, there's some work that we need to do. Let's take an example. Let's take the example of the technology or the technological area of text analytics and natural language processing. If I go to this element, I will arrive at the element overview. So this is the hub where we collect and condense all of the information that we are keeping and that we are tracking for this particular technological field. So this is basically where all of our brain power goes into. And what we can do is we can track all of these pieces of information on this comprehensive profile and offer to the wider organization in order to make our efforts in the area of technology management and scouting as transparent as possible. We can ask our users to provide ratings or evaluations of that trend or technology, which will in turn also affect how the placement of the radar will actually change based on those evaluations. We can tag it, and we can also upload adjacent information to our platform in order to further contextualize what it is we have. I can also collaborate with other users, not just through ratings, but through commenting and through engaging on certain topics that are of interest to me. Now, everything that I've said and told you about so far obviously pertains to information that we already have. But of course, what's more interesting is the unknown and being informed about certain changes that might occur within those pieces of information, within those elements, in this case, this technology, that are happening outside of our organization, because of course, what we've seen so far is everything that we already know within the organization. For this purpose, we offer our insights or signals tool that will help you to automate your monitoring and scouting efforts and help you to actually get to a lot more valuable information a lot faster. What you're seeing right here is basically the summary of the most relevant signals that we pull into the system from a variety of different data sources that pertain or that have relevance for the particular element that we're currently looking at. So in this case, the technology or the technological area of natural language processing. So you can already see that we have quite a lot of signals, so 12,000 for this particular element. And they could be news articles, patents, or publications that are freely accessible on the internet, which the system automatically detects for you and pulls into the system for you to be able to further work with them. So I could potentially open this particular signal because it could have some certain relevance to me and create an additional element from this, which I can then again track and manage in my tool. Now, this is of course a very manual effort because I need to go into the individual signals feed of each element, which might be a bit tedious. So what we've done at Itonics is we've added automation to this. Now, one thing that I can do is I can actually start to watch a certain element. And as soon as I start watching that element, I will then be notified if there is a spike in signals that pertain to this particular technological element over a certain time frame. So what you can actually see here is a graph that shows me the development of the different signal types. So those that I mentioned earlier, patents, news articles, or publications. And I can then decide which ones I want to see and visualize on this timeline and kind of get a sense of, okay, how has the underlying signals for this piece of information developed over time? Now, in order to get even more information from this, what I can do is I can actually show certain key events. And these key events will show me automated certain spikes or certain increases or decreases that are out of the ordinary when it comes to the overall signals accumulation for this particular technology element, in this case, the last year. And as soon as I, of course, watch this element, as soon as I've allowed the system to send me notifications, I, as someone that is interested into receiving more information on these changes and whether or not a lot more publications are coming in, whether a lot more news articles are being tied to this particular topic, I will get a notification, can jump straight back in the system, go through my signals feed for this particular element and decide whether or not the new signals that have come in are actually also valuable for us to maybe look at in a bit more detailed manner as an organization. Now let's suppose I've been alerted that a new signal or a new wave of signals has come in for this particular piece of information. Then what I can very easily do is I can just create that element, save it to my system as, for example, an inspiration or a different technology, and then further curate it down the road in order to make sure that we collect all of the information that might be adjacent to that or that we have internally. As soon as I do that, I will also have a relationship back to the actual element that I created it from. So as you can see right here, for this particular inspiration, I can always jump back to the originating element so that I have got that red thread through the entire system stemming from a technology that I'm looking at and the subsequent inspiration that I've derived from it. And the idea is to find a lot of information related to a certain area and to then kind of get a gist of whether or not it would be sensible to look at certain opportunities that we could potentially create. Now, how would that actually look like in a system when I'm talking about clustering information and actually seeing relationships in between pieces of information? For this purpose, we have the network graph. So let's go to our network graph for all the content that we currently have in the tool. Let me just close that element very briefly. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of information, and all of this information pertains to what we have in our tool. So the trends, the technologies, the inspirations or the signals that we've created for those trends and technologies. And what I'm seeing here is how they are all related to one another. And what I can use that for is I can kind of identify those clusters of information by the relationships that they have to one another and see, okay, we have quite a lot of trends, technologies that are related to one another. We have quite a lot of signals surrounding those technological elements. And what I can do from that is I could then, for instance, create something what we would call an opportunity or a strategic focus field. And then, of course, I could use that in order to derive ideas, derive opportunities from the scouting and the monitoring activities that I've done, create multiple focus fields that I would like to see whether or not it makes sense to deep dive into those and actual derive opportunities thereof, and then map them out in order to compare them to one another. Because of course, I need to make sure that I can communicate all the opportunities that we have to the broader organization. So what we're seeing here is an opportunity matrix, which just shows me all of those information elements that we've derived from our scouting and monitoring capabilities within the tool, and that just maps them in accordance to certain rating criteria. So in this case, what we have is the external perspective. So we basically compare our opportunities towards one another based on the economic value. So what is, for instance, the market capitalization? What is, the demand on the market like for products that we could build by deploying, for instance, natural language processing capabilities versus the internal perspective, which would be the strategic alignment. So do we maybe even have capabilities to develop products and services within the area of natural language processing? Is that something that we want to pursue further in the future? So of course we need to compare all of those opportunities and thereby get a sense of which one of these opportunities has the highest relevance for us, which of course will then show us a very lean and simple view which we can use in order to justify all of our technology scouting and monitoring activities. Now the great thing about this is that all of these Foresight capabilities are not the only product that we of course offer here at Itonics. And Itonics Foresight, which we've been discussing just now, actually also connects seamlessly with our other modules or products, which is Itonics Ideation and Portfolio, so that we ensure that we have one digital platform for all of the information and all of the flow between these pieces of information for our innovation management activities and the growth that comes out of that.